Nightmare in the Woods. I'm Jason Horton.
I'm Rebecca Lieb.
And this is Ghost Town.
The topic we're covering today is from my friend Ed, whose family is Mexican, and he was genuinely surprised that I did not know what this topic was. I had no idea. Now I'm very familiar, again, through research, and I'm terrified. Growing up with these creatures around or even talking about them seems absolutely terrifying. Today we're talking about the Chaneques, devil dwarves with the power to suck your soul right out of your body. And worse. Yes, it gets worse. Let's get into it. Lots of cultures have myths around mystical human-like creatures. Think of gnomes, leprechauns, elves, fairies, all incredibly prevalent characters that live outside the rules of humans with tricky, magical powers. Mexico is no different. They have creatures called wee folk, Chaneques in Spanish, which originate from a Nahuatl word meaning those who inhabit dangerous places. In the eastern and southern parts of modern-day Mexico, people still believe in these creatures, their cultural significance studied by academics and historians, and, to a much lesser and worse extent, podcasters. Hello. As you likely know, the Chaneque is not alone in the library of spooky and fascinating legends and creatures from Mexico. We've got La Llorona, La Planchada, Chupacabras, to name a few. But the Chaneque is different. They are generally described as fully human-looking, but in a much smaller form, having little children's bodies with the faces of old people. They have large eyes that, in some legends, glow red or bright black. Their ears are pointed, a lot like European elves. They're no more than 2 feet tall, with backwards-facing feet that are sometimes covered in hair. They are usually fully clothed, wearing straw hats and cloth shoes, and carry bags made out of cloth or agave cactus fiber. They're kind of bindle of tricks. Their magic begins with the knowledge of how to shapeshift from their tiny selves into the form of animals. They mostly work in the darkness or the early morning hours. They live in sinkholes or within natural formations, but many people believe that they're a supernatural or extraterrestrial race that have been on this planet for longer than we have. When the Spanish encountered Aztecs and Mayans, they were made aware of the powerful belief in Chaneques, a belief that, again, still holds strong in some areas today. Intruding on their harmonious living situations is usually where things get ugly for those who encounter a Chaneque. Also, there are good Chaneques, and there are very, very, very bad Chaneques. The good ones live in zones inhabited by humans, while the bad ones live in far-out hills, caves, or rivers. The good ones are playful tricksters, doing things like braiding horses' manes, pulling dogs' tails, making things disappear, and scaring farm animals. But the bad ones will sicken your soul, taking away your desire to eat or live. They also have the power to make you drain your tonal, what Mexican culture describes as your human spirit, the thing that connects you to the universe, to other living beings, and predicts your fate in this life. Without it, you're kind of a living, walking zombie. Oh yeah, bad Chaneques will also kidnap and kill your children if given the chance. Let's take a break. Sometimes if you anger a Chaneque, you can give them sweets and you'll be okay. But sometimes you need to give them your soul, or worse, they'll scare it out of you and bury it underground. The only way to recover your lost soul is to undergo a specific ritual. Otherwise, you might get very sick or even die. Chaneques were also known to just get people lost in the woods for the hell of it, wandering mindlessly around the jungle for days and dying that way. Later, it was believed that the only way to escape a Chaneque was to wear your shirt inside out, which seems honestly pretty doable considering the consequences. If you know a Chaneque is around and you want to use their land, you really have to jump through some hoops. Again, the alternative would be very bad. For example, if you want to plant something in a forested area, you would ask permission from the local Chaneque and hope that they're good and not bad. You'd leave behind food or sometimes cigarettes, they love cigarettes, as a gesture for permission to use the land. Or you can bring in the big guns and have a shaman come act as a human-to-Chaneque translator. And this isn't advice from like 400 years ago. Even today in the Yucatan, care was taken by authorities not to piss off the local Chaneques. When the Cancun-Nizuc Bridge near the Mexican International Airport was being built, Workers would return to the site in the morning and find the bridge mysteriously destroyed. Every morning, they'd come back to work and everything would be torn down, and they'd have to start from square one, day after day. Some locals suggested that reoccurring destruction of the bridge was caused by a Chaneque, who didn't want the bridge on their land. So the government contacted a Mayan shaman to perform a ceremony at the construction site, acknowledging the Chaneque and asking for permission to build the bridge. And wouldn't you know, after the shamanic ceremony, the bridge stopped being torn down. Today, you can see a small stone house constructed under the Cancun-Nizuk Bridge as a sign of respect for the Chaneque, and sometimes offerings are left there by the locals. Then, in 2010, an Elton John concert was being held at the iconic archaeological site of Chichen Itza. Days before the performance, the producers had clear weather, everything was looking good, it was good to go. But, inexplicably, the massive main stage just collapsed. Locals quickly pointed out that the organizers of the show didn't get permission and blessings from the Chaneques. Concerts held at Chichen Itza in the previous years had had no problems because they used local shamans to ask the spirits for permission. So the Elton John concert organizers brought in a local Mayan leader to do some work, and the concert went on without any further problems. That's the power of a Chaneque, a small creature that you definitely do not want to mess with.